So I finally bought the new Invictus Parfum. This is the latest in a long line of men's fragrances. Most of them are compliment getters, and the previous flanker, Invictus Victory Elixir, was in my top 3 of 2023. I've been wearing Invictus Parfum for about a week now, and it's time for me to share my thoughts on it. So before I begin, I would absolutely love to know how you feel about Invictus Parfum and how you would rate it from 1 to 10, so make sure you comment. And if you absolutely love fragrances and if you love smelling good, then you gotta make sure to hit that subscribe and please do drop a like on this video, thank you. So this is my review of Invictus Parfum and not a comparison of it and the other ones. However, I will touch on some of the similarities with some of the flankers. Drop a like on this video and let me know in the comments if you want me to do a comparison of Invictus Parfum and the other flankers. So let's take a look at the notes. Some of the notes in Paco Rabanne Invictus Parfum are marine notes, lavender, pink pepper, black soap, violet leaf, myrtle, cashmere, musk and sandalwood. So what does Invictus Parfum smell like? So as soon as you spray it on, you get a dose of lavender, but already in the opening you get a feel for some of the other notes behind it. This is not the brightest and freshest dose of lavender, and it's almost like a muted kind of lavender, and there's this slightly fuzzy and slightly warm feel about it. Right behind that lavender there's a soft and aquatic kind of freshness, and it gets stronger by the second. Same thing here as with the lavender. It's not the most freshest or intense dose of aquatic freshness there is. It's aquatic fresh, but in a sort of a muted way. There's a bit of spiciness here as well, but it's very soft and it just adds a bit of nuance to it all. That sort of a fuzzy feel that I get straight away is what I believe the combo of the musk and the black soap. It brings a softness to it all and gives this sort of a clean, fresh and slightly soapy feel to the scent. Everything in Invictus Parfum has this soft and diffused feel to it thanks to that combo. There are different kinds of soapiness, and this, at least to me, is not super soapy. There's a bit of soft soapiness to it, but in terms of intensity, this ain't super soapy. And if you compare different kinds of soapiness and put them on a scale of mass appeal, this is definitely at the end of mass appealing. So a lot of things are happening almost at once in the opening, and I like it. I usually absolutely love super bright and intense lavender, but the way this sort of a softer and almost diffused or muted lavender is combined with that soft sort of a aquatic freshness, and everything being a bit musky and soapy is really nice. There's a bit of sweetness to the opening as well, but I feel its sweetness is definitely not a strong one, and I also feel that it's mostly present in the opening through to the mids and slightly present in the dry down. To me, it sort of stays in this aromatic, musky, softly soapy and marine fresh way for a while until it finally starts to head into the dry down. The dry down to me is where its woodiness finally comes through, and to me its woodiness is pretty much like the lavender, the black soap and that aquatic kind of freshness, in that it feels sort of a muted or diffused. It's definitely not an intense kind of woodiness. There's really nothing sharp in this at all. The full dry down is musky and woody with a soft aquatic freshness to it, and everything being a bit soapy, slightly sweet and salty. So simplified, this opens up with like a soft and diffused kind of aromatic and aquatic freshness that's a bit musky and a bit soapy, and dries down to something that I feel is primarily musky and woody, and a scent that's more on the lighter and fresher side of things, even though I don't consider this to be like the freshest of fresh. So a quick comparison, comparing Invictus Parfum to some of the others in the line. So before I bought Invictus Parfum, I had someone comment about it on one of my videos, and I asked him what he thought of it, and he said that he basically thought that Invictus Parfum was Invictus Legend rebottled. And comparing them side by side, I do not feel they are the same. There's a moment a bit into the opening, sort of opening through to the mids, where I get a bit of similarity, but I do feel they dry down to different scents. The musk is fresh side, and that black soap definitely pulls it in a different direction. I get parts of the original in it, but that part is quite soft, and I do not think they are the same. The first thing I thought of when I sprayed Invictus Parfum was Invictus Victory Elixir. They are not the same, but I do get parts of Invictus Victory Elixir in Invictus Parfum, but with a twist. And I do feel Invictus Parfum is quite different compared to both Invictus Platinum and Invictus Victory. It's almost, but not quite, like they took a bit of Invictus Victory Elixir and added a bit of Invictus Legend, and then added the musk and the soap, to make it a bit fresher and lighter. Invictus Parfum definitely has parts of some of the other flankers and the original in it, mixed in with a few new things. Most of any similarities are happening in the opening through to the mid. Once it dries down, I do feel it very much goes in its own way. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments. So how do I feel when I wear Invictus Parfum? This to me is oozing a fun, flirty and sexy vibe, and it sort of reminds me of how I feel when I spray on Invictus Victory Elixir. So what about compliments and mass appeal? This is definitely a compliment getter kind of scent that a lot of people will enjoy getting away from. So what about the performance? This gives me a noticeable scent cloud for at least 2 to 3 hours, and it stays on my skin for longer than that. So projection is definitely Rebel approved. I do not think it's beast mode though. Longevity is definitely solid and I can smell it hours after I spray it on. So when should you use Invictus Parfum? This is a fragrance that definitely works throughout the year, and that's exactly how I'm going to use it. It's an aromatic, fresh, musky and woody mix that's great for warmer weather, but definitely use it in fall and winter if you want. As for occasions, yes, this has like a fun and sexy vibe to it, but you can definitely use it to any occasion, regardless if it's like for work, for school, for going out, or when you are going on a date. Its performance does make it a good choice if you are going out and want something that's noticeable in an attractive way. I've been through a workout with this thing oozing off my skin, and while it absolutely smells gorgeous with a bit of warmth, it's not my first choice as a gym scent, but it definitely works for that. So who's this fragrance for? I think that if you enjoy the previous flankers, there's a chance you will enjoy this. But with that said, avoid blind buying and try first. Not because it's bad or anything, but to make sure you enjoy this twist, and to make sure that you don't feel it's too similar to the other flankers. You should probably enjoy musky, woody and aromatic scents, because this is basically that with an added dose of soapiness. I think this will appeal to a lot who enjoyed the original or most of its flankers. But even if you dislike the original, you might actually enjoy this one, because at least I feel that this is very much an improvement over the original, and it's also quite different. Once again, do not blind buy, try first to make sure that it's something you enjoy. So what are some of the alternatives to Invictus Parfum? So this has a bit of uniqueness to it, but at the same time it does have bits and pieces from other flankers and from the original. So the line itself is definitely an alternative. The first one I want to mention is Invictus Victory Elixir, which is warmer and sweeter with a prominent dose of vanilla. They are not the same, but I absolutely love this one. Going in a different direction, but one that has lavender in it, there's the minty fresh green and woody platinum. Again, they are definitely not the same, but this is a twist to that Invictus DNA that I like a lot. Staying on the sort of a musky fresh theme, I just gotta mention the OG Prada Luna Rosa. It's all about lavender and citrusy freshness with a bit of mint on a musky base. So let's talk about price. I paid about 95 bucks for 100 ml, but that was when it was on sale. And this usually retails for anywhere between 100 and 140 bucks. So I highly recommend looking for sales or looking at different discounters just to make sure that you don't pay full retail for it. So how am I going to rate Paco Rabanne Invictus Parfum? It smells great, it's got a sexy and playful vibe that I enjoy in fragrances, and it has solid performance. To someone else, this might feel like a dupe of a previous flanker, but I think this is like a mix of all of them done with a twist, and it's a twist I think is really nice. I'm going to give Paco Rabanne Invictus Parfum 8.5 or 9, something like that. So I would love to know how you feel about Paco Rabanne Invictus Parfum. Do you like it? Do you hate it? And how would you rate Invictus Parfum from 1 to 10? Like this video, I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that subscribe. Make sure you check out the videos over there, and I'll see you in the next one.